Hello, everyone. Welcome and thanks for tuning in to the Bipolar Cat. I'm your host, Amanda Lee, ready to tell you the most there is about bipolar disorder and mental illness. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about something that really needs to be addressed, and that is disabilities in the workplace. Yes. Now, that's a very complicated subject, I think. And, ever since the Americans with Disability Act was set in place in January 1st of 2009, we have legal rights to be protected under that law, to not be discriminated. And some of the things that employers do look for are people who are able bodied to work. And that could be a very complicated subject because there are some people with disabilities that are not physical, but are mental. And in my case, it is a mental disability. And I'll tell you a little bit of a personal story of mine. A couple of years back, I was able to discuss my disability with my employer, and I got a really good response. She was very inviting for me to tell her more about my situation and very understanding and cooperative. And I really did enjoy working for that company. And it was really nice to express myself to my employer that I was indeed disabled. And, it is okay to discuss that information if you feel it'll benefit you. Now, a lot of times when people are discussing their disability with their employer, it could render them from getting advancement opportunities or even discriminated. We do get discriminated a lot, especially in the workforce, because people think, we're not able to do the job or we're not able to advance in that particular area, and that we may hold them back. I mean, that's what I think they think, but it could be many things. People with disabilities do get discriminated in the workforce. It does happen. And it's a sad thing, but it does happen, unfortunately. And a reasonable thing to discuss with your employer is reasonable accommodations. And that's to get any adjustments or anything in particular you may need in order to complete the job in your work environment. And it should be able to give you enough resources to help you perform the essential functions of the job. And it is a privilege to get a job, especially if you're disabled. And to get a job and to be able to manage a condition all at the same time is very commending. I commend you. Whoever is working in the workforce, listening in, I commend you, because working and having a mental disability of any sort can be very scary. Not so much scary, but can be very intimidating because we don't know how or when this condition that we suffer from will act up while we're working. And it does happen. But, that's why there are laws and regulations in place to protect disabled people. And unfortunately, employment discrimination happens among people whether they're disabled or not. It's just something that does happen. There is a lot of discrimination out there. I personally have been discriminated. I worked at a certain area in town, and I was working for an institution. I'm not going to release any names, but I was working for an institution, and I felt like they assumed I was disabled, maybe because of my actions. I don't quite know, but for some reason the beginning of my job felt very easy and very forthcoming, and then all of a sudden towards like a couple months in, I started getting a certain pullback from my employers and some of my peers or employees that I worked with. And I just felt like I was being treated differently. And it really sucked. I mean, I couldn't bear to go to work thinking like, oh my gosh, I have to face these people. What are they going to think of me now? But I felt like they assumed I was disabled and I was discriminated, but I'll never know. That's just a thought came in my mind. But yeah, unfortunately, it does happen. Employment discrimination is a real thing. And if we're qualified to do the job, we should have every civil right to work and to be employed with whatever company we decide to um, work for. And it's a very touching subject, but you need to address your employer on how you plan to accomplish the tasks required by your job. And you can affirm to your employer that you're suited well enough to be part of this position, to be a part of that company. And it's different for everyone. Everybody has a different approach. You can discuss it if you feel comfortable. If not, a lot of people do not discuss it. But it's just what you identify yourself as with a person with a disability. And if you feel comfortable saying that information to an employer. So let's see here. What else can we cover? You know, telling your employer about your diagnosis, whatever it may be, it's the best way and maybe the only way to protect your legal right to any accommodations that you might need later on in the job or even to keep the job. But like I said, that's the tricky part. If you reveal your disability, you may be subject to discrimination and it could limit your opportunities in the employment and in advancement within the company. And that's what really just bums me out is the limitations that we may encounter if we disclose that information with our employers. So yeah. Um, yeah, what else can we discuss here? It's such a beautiful day here in South Texas. I am loving the weather. Usually it gets hot in the summertime, but it's not summer just yet, but still spring gets really hot and it gets pretty what's that word I'm looking for? Humid. Oh my gosh, the humidity down here is insane, you guys. But it's a really nice area to live. I think South Texas is a beautiful, beautiful town. And it is full of lots of growing art and people and cultures. And it's just, it's a very nice place to visit. If you ever find yourself in South Texas, check out the Mexican food. It's delicious. So, yes, disability and working. How do you plan to accomplish disclosing that information with your employer? It's something to really think about and something to really evaluate and talk to your boss about how you really feel or what you're going through, or if you can't complete a certain task. You need to tell them that's the only way you're going to be protected. We have protection laws in place for disabled people too. And I think it's important to discuss, but it's solely up to you to discuss that information if you'd like with your employer. I personally did, and I got a good response, but that's just me. I'm just one individual out of millions. Um, everybody's different, and the discrimination people encounter is different. So it just all depends on the person you're disclosing that information with, if they have an open mind to give you a chance and help you succeed and advance in the company. But if not, I mean, you do have rights and you do have protections under the law. So look into that. Look into the Americans with Disability Act and check out any reasonable accommodations you can ask your employer for, because it is important and we do need those things set in place for us. And yeah, so that's about it I'll discuss for today, you guys. I hope you have a great weekend and a great rest of the week. And I hope you enjoy any hobbies or activities you're doing with family and friends, and just have fun and enjoy your life. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of the year. It's springtime, time to be outdoors and just let loose and have some fun. That's it for today, my friends. Remember to just breathe, relax, know that you're in a safe space and that you are not alone. I am right there with you. That's all for today. Till next time. Bye.